Question of the day. How can we ensure that new construction and renovations prioritize universal design principles from the outset? So, this is a really in depth question. Whoever asked this on the internet, we're going to try to answer it to the best of our ability. And if you hear some tap, 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 that's the rain outside my window. So just a postie note. So, so here are some answers that I hope are helpful and some homework that you and I would need to do. And, you know, as I've said before, it's education and advocacy. Education and advocacy. And we're going to listen to some answers here. Gemini has helped me put together some answers, so thank you, Gemini. But here are some concrete ways in which we can be an influence on what happens next in our society. So education and awareness for architects and designers. So that is really crucial. Mandatory universal design training. And universal design are those designs that work for those who don't have a disability and for those who might have disabilities, dexterity and ambulatory. So to incorporate comprehensive universal design principles into architecture and design schools curricula, as well as continuing education requirements for licensed professionals, those who are out there already. This ensures that future and current professionals have a solid understanding of these concepts. So that is really, really important. Industry workshops, and here is where you and I can insert ourselves as presenters. You can team up with someone, you can do it on your own, but industry workshops and seminars, this is where we can, you know, weave ourselves in. Offer specialized workshops and seminars focused on the practice, application of universal design in various building types. So even though we're not architects, we're not designers, we can talk about our frustrations and what we envision for the future. So showcasing best practices, highlight successful examples of universal design spaces through case studies, awards, and publications to inspire and educate. Now, that would require some research. I agree. It would require to, you know, begin to contact those people who have been successful in their designs with, you know, in the community, in the society, and what does that look like? So I think that that would be, you know, for us to team up with each other, and, you know, if you see somebody or meet somebody that you would like to put together a presentation for these workshops and seminars and put something together for a course or a presentation, then that is from the ground up. That is from the ground up. Showcasing best practices. So so that will require, again, you know, a little bit of research. Strong regulations and enforcement. And this is what I've talked about with the ADA, that we have to bring it alive. You know, any law is just words on a piece of paper. It doesn't do anything unless we do something with it. So, and I say that to lawyers and they get annoyed with me, but it's true. If you don't bring it alive in voicing it, bringing a case to courts, then it's just words on a piece of paper. So beyond minimum accessibility standards, while the Americans with Disabilities Act sets minimum standards, universal design goes further, Building codes and regulations should be updated to incorporate more comprehensive universal design principles as the baseline, not just an add-on. So these things need to happen from the beginning. Not because somebody complained and then they had to add something on to make somebody happy. No, it needs to be incorporated in the design and not be accepted or approved until that universal design is there and it shows. Early plan review. So implement rigorous plan review process that specifically assesses adherence to universal design principles before, and this is what I keep on saying, before construction begins. This can prevent costly retrofits later. So this is crucial, and the bottom line is education and advocacy. So we can do this as wheelchair users, insert ourselves into the engineer, and designer world to talk to them about what is important to us and what our frustrations are, when we're out there looking for apartments, going to stores, going to restaurants that they're going to build in the future. And to know, that we are here, we're alive, we are customers, we are consumers in society. So independent accessibility consultants. So you can be a consultant. Think about it. Require or strongly encourage the involvement of certified accessibility consultants. We have to get some kind of certification, I guess, with expertise in universal design from the initial planning stages through project completion. So, we have to have some kind of, if you're good at math and designs, you could become that consultant and insert yourself into that world. Accountability and penalties. Now, what happened to this library in Queens? It got slammed with lawsuits, even from the city of New York. And that's what needs to happen. Again, laws are just words on a piece of paper unless we bring it to life. Establish clear accountability measures and penalties for non-compliance and universal design standards. So we have to jump on that from early on. Collaboration and input from the disability community. And again, this is where we need to be there on the front line. Early stakeholder engagement. So if you know of an apartment complex that's going up, then you need to find the people who are looking into that building and insert yourself or connect with the engineers and just say, hey, I'm here and I want to speak up in regards to this building. It's great that you're building it. However, this is what I want to recommend. Actively involve people with disabilities, including wheelchair users, in the design process from the conceptual stage. Their lived experiences provide invaluable insights, so they can't leave us out, and we need to make sure that we are not left out. So it's a two-way street in which the team or the organization that's going to put up this building and us, need to go hand in hand. Advisory boards and committees. And I know that this is very boring to be on advisory boards and committees, but it's important for us to jump on. Create permanent advisory boards or committees composed of individuals with diverse disabilities to provide input on building projects and infrastructure development. So that would be in your city, that would be in your county, There are committees for the people with disabilities, so that when a building is going up, the city has to review it, blah, 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 and you would have a voice in that, on that committee. So sometimes it's the governor's committees, or it can be construction for the city committee, or whatever that committee is. You can, think for yourself, can I participate in this committee? Do I have the energy to be on this board, so that I can express the concern and the need for the design of that building that's going up to be accessible, to have those universal designs. So you got to think about that. User testing and feedback. Conduct user testing of designs and prototypes with people with disabilities to identify potential barriers and areas for improvement before final construction. I would say prior to construction. Anything needs to be prior. But yeah, improve before final construction. So testing and feedback, I don't think we do that enough. They're just doing the construction and they're just racing to the final line because it's all about money. The sooner they can get that building up, the better, and they'll start to earn money back from all the money they put in. But we are also money. We are also consumers. So that is important. If they want us to be part of their and use their building, then, they need to hear what we have to say from the beginning. Tax breaks and funding preferences. Offer financial incentives such as tax breaks or preferential access to funding for projects that finally embrace universal design. So, and that is crucial, some kind of reward, some kind of incentive that they can say, this is interesting. Yeah, let's include a universal design. Let's, go back to the drawing board and see where we can add that change and get that incentive. So, and that's the voice that we need to bring to the table for committees and boards, so that people are included. Certification programs. Develop and promote certification programs that recognize and reward buildings and organizations that demonstrate a strong commitment to universal design. Now, this is crucial. Again, it's that reward. It's that opening a door that they become aware and educated in that universal design that is so much needed in society. Public recognition. Highlight and celebrate exemplary, universally designed projects to raise awareness and encourage wider adoption. So that is important, to make noise and to talk about it out in public, for the news channels to bring it on, because that is really, really where the education surfaces and the ideas surface. So I wanted to leave it at that. There's a whole bunch more answers, but, I'll add this little piece as a bonus. Promoting a culture of inclusion. So how do we do that? So public awareness and campaigns. So if you are a person who loves to organize campaigns and things like that, to educate the general public about the benefits of universal designs for everyone, not just people with disabilities. Emphasize how it creates more usable, safe, convenient environment for all ages and disabilities. Leadership commitment. Encourage government agencies, developers, and business leaders to publicly champion universal designs as core value. So again, it's at the beginning of these constructions and ideas that we need to be part of so that all of this can happen. We can't sit at home and then complain about something that wasn't done. So it's at the very beginning of a seed idea in which they're going to put up a construction somewhere, and you know, I don't care if it's a store or pharmacy or apartments, that we can become involved or touch base with the engineers and say, hey, what is this all about? I'm a person of disability in the community. I want to make sure that your design is inclusive, and that I might come to your store. I might come and stay at these apartments, and I want to know that there's going to be a space for me and for others. So I'm hoping that these answers and ideas, are helpful to you and to me, because this gives me a few things, few ideas that I might be able to do, others can do. And it might not be you yourself, but you can invite others with disabilities to go on the charge, encourage others. Hey, what if you tried to get on the governor's committee of XYZ? Would you be willing? I can't do that, but maybe you can. So, or maybe the two of you can together. So, it's all kinds of ideas that we can put together and have a meeting of wheelchair users and other people with disabilities and see where we can insert ourselves in society, in our city, in our neighborhood, to make sure that any building that's going up is and has universal design. So I'll leave it at that. If you have any input about this, feel free to jump in and write your comments down below. And again, it doesn't have to be us, but we can encourage a team or a committee to go on the charge to make sure that there is a universal design ahead of whatever construction is going up. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for listening. I'm hoping all of you are well. Feel free to be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Give us a like, subscribe, and I will sure see you probably in the next one.